one.
How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Split Decision. This is your co-host Aki. To my left
It's Professor Nims. What's good,
and
people?
a real lifetime professor, and he's a professor when it comes to the sport of boxing. So if you need some education and some medication because your feelings is hurt from watching the sport of boxing, this is the show to tune in. Now, Professor Nin,
What's going on, Aki?
you know what's going on this weekend. We got Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter.
Yeah.
So, what's your prediction on that one? How you think the fight is going to play out, and who has the upper hand? Because Errol Spence is the favorite for this fight. So, who you got your money on?
Okay, so I can kind of talk about the fight in general purposes, but how about since we're split decision, you give me your take and your thoughts on it. You take a stance, and then I'll come see if I can come through that. So give me your thoughts.
Well,
Take a stance on Spence versus Porter.
Well, my take on the fight, I believe Errol Spence has the upper hand. I believe Errol Spence is a completed fighter. He could fight in the inside, outside, mid-range. So whatever Shawn Porter decides to do, I believe Errol Spence will nullify. But at the end of the day, Shawn Porter, every fight he's been in, especially the big fights, the big moments, he's always been in competitive fights. So I'm looking forward to see if Errol Spence is able to dominate Shawn Porter and if he's able to knock out Shawn Porter. Now, if you ask me my opinion, I think the first couple rounds is going to be very competitive. They're going to be filling each other out. But after the fourth or the fifth round, I believe Errol Spence is going to start takeover and he's going to start landing big punches. And yes, Shawn Porter, obviously he got this Marlon style. You know, he uses his body. He's very aggressive and he's very dirty with his tactics. But just like, remember when he fought Kell Brook nullified a lot of that just by holding. When Errol Spence fought Kell Brook tried to hold Errol Spence, but Errol Spence was able and managed to create enough distance to land his body shots. So I believe even though Shawn Porter is going to try to smother Errol Spence's offense by, being too aggressive, I believe Errol Spence will create the right distance and still land the body shots and effective punches throughout the fight, so he won't be gassing himself out. And, we know Errol Spence is the body snatcher. So that being said, I got Errol Spence all day. He's the truth for a reason. So that, I put my house on it. I'm confident like that when it comes to Errol Spence. But Shawn Porter, he's a real dog in there. I'm not going to take credit away from Shawn Porter, but I just believe that it's Errol Spence's time and his time to shine. So what's your take on it?
All right. So I think the original kind of question after was, who do you think has the upper hand when we go into the bout? And then I think there's a couple ways you can look at it. So a lot of people are going to look at Errol Spence and his recent track record. He's undefeated. He's a former Olympian. He has a pedigree. But I think there's part of it they're underestimating Shawn Porter in a sense. One is I think that unquestionably that Shawn Porter has faced the better competition. And this is not all Errol's fault. A lot of people just do not want to fight Errol Spence. It's some guys who have fought Shawn Porter who would not dare go into the ring with Errol Spence. Yeah. Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, even a Keith Thurman. Right, so we can say that. But at the same time, he's fought those guys. And Shawn Porter is in the enviable position of, because of everything that Errol Spence has talked about, he's going to knock him out. And he stated this unequivocally, I'm going to knock this guy out. So he gets a modicum of a victory just by lasting the round. So if you kind of think about it, what I'm saying is that I think that there are a lot of good things that you cannot take from him. And I think that the pressure is going to be more on Errol Spence, not only to win and to perform at a high level, but by his own words, is to stop Shawn Porter, who's never been stopped. He's only been dropped one time, a left hook by Broner in the 12th round, kind of a lapse. He has been hurt before. I guess shocked. Yeah, Keith Thurman. I think even Danny Garcia landed some tough punches. And he's shown that he can take a very good punch on the chin. Errol Spence offers a new challenge because of his body work. I haven't really seen anybody really attack Shawn's body with the kind of fervor that we would see from Errol Spence.
Now I got a better question for you. If Errol Spence dominates Shawn Porter, you stated nobody dominated Shawn Porter and nor knocked him out, right? You know, if they do beat him, it's a tough, close fight. Like the Kell Brook, he held like 100 times. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, Kell Brook got the victory, but he did held, and the referee didn't do nothing about it. But as a fighter, you're supposed to make adjustments, just like Errol Spence did. But my question is, if Errol Spence go in the ring and dominate Shawn Porter, just like he did to Mikey Garcia, and like just beat him up, but he doesn't stop him, will that be impressive? Is that equivalent to a knockout in your opinion? If he dominates Shawn Porter like no one has, because like I stated, Keith Thurman, it was a war against Shawn Porter, and also Danny Garcia. It was a very close fight, you know, and Ugas too. Let's not forget Ugas actually. I thought that was a very close fight, and I could have seen that, you know, Ugas actually edged it. A lot of people feel that way. So if Errol Spence going in the ring and dominates Shawn Porter, but it doesn't stop him, does that take any shine away from his victory?
Well, I don't necessarily kind of buy into this kind of mythical, you know, you have to do this. In boxing, I just think that you have to win. If you win impressive, that's good. If you get a knockout, that's a strong testament, particularly if there's a fighter who's never been knocked out. But I don't think dominating somebody over 12 rounds equates to a knockout. A knockout is different. That is where your opponent is not able to continue because of the harm that you have inflicted upon them. So Mikey Garcia fought Errol Spence, and it would have made he made a resounding statement by dominating him over those 12 rounds, but he didn't stop him, and I think that's something that it's kind of this seismic shift that you kind of feel. Just like, wow, did you see Errol Spence? Like, he stopped Mikey Garcia.
And that's why probably Shawn Porter took the fight, because he felt that, okay, Mikey went 12 rounds with him. You know, because Shawn Porter wasn't interested in this fight beforehand. Let's be honest here. But that being said, Errol Spence, before the Mikey Garcia fight, he was capable of stopping a lot of his opponents that a lot of people weren't capable of stopping. You know, like Algieri went 12 rounds with Pacquiao. Even though he got dropped like 6 times, he managed to get up every time. Errol Spence just watched him. Meanwhile, you have Kell Brook, who beat Shawn Porter. You know, it was a good victory for Kell Brook, impressive victory, matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And Errol Spence went to his hometown and literally destroyed the man in his own hometown. So
he stopped him. He was actually down when he stopped Kell Brook, though.
No. Errol Spence was winning the fight.
You think so?
The commentators was just biased as hell, because the first 4 rounds had it 2 for 2. 2 Errol Spence, 2 Kell Brook. But after that, Errol Spence kind of took over. But they wasn't looking at what Errol Spence was doing. Like, I remember a sequence in the 5th round where Errol Spence slipped in the corner, and they were like, you know, Kell Brook hurt Errol Spence in danger, and then Errol Spence turned him around, started punishing him to the body, to the head. He literally landed like 6 to 7 punches, and they didn't say nothing about that. You know, I'm like, really? So the commentators was kind of biased, stating that, you know, Kell Brook is winning the fight, but obviously, that's a hometown advantage. Sky Sport was stating that, but in my opinion, Errol Spence was up on the scorecard up to that point. But regardless of that, he attacked the body, he attacked the head. His jab was consistent all night, which broke Kell Brook down. And I believe his jab and his consistency will give Shawn Porter a lot of problems. See, Shawn Porter, I remember when he fought Keith Thurman, you know, he will do good in the inside, but he did well on the outside as well. Boxing with Keith Thurman, he was using the jab very effectively. He out jabbed Paulie early on when they fought, before he just mauled them and knocked them out. So my point is, Shawn Porter has a good jab, but his opponents let him work because of his wild style. So when he actually boxed him, they're like, man, I'd rather box with him than you know, brawl with him. But I believe Errol Spence will control the pace, and with his consistent jab and the way he varies his offense like he did with Mikey Garcia, you just don't know what to expect next. You don't know how to prepare for what's coming. I mean, he already 5 steps ahead of you offensively, and he's good defensively. That's why I believe he will have the edge in the Shawn Porter fight. So what round you picking? I mean, you picking Errol Spence? Is that what I'm getting?
I am. I'm picking Errol Spence. I don't foresee an early round stoppage. At the most, maybe a late round stoppage. I think that Errol Spence will probably have to deal with a cut over his eye just through the physical nature and the fact that southpaw versus orthodox, their feet are going to be very close together. Both of them are boxers that like to fight on the front foot, and so I could see him dealing with some kind of hairy moments, but I think his class will take over. And 11th round,
11th round,
TKO.
Same for Kell Brook. Now let me inform you on this. It's funny you say that. They had the face to face. I don't know if you've seen it, but Shawn Porter told Errol Spence, "I'ma cut you." Now I don't know. I mean, obviously people try to say what he meant. He's gonna cut him by a punch, but how many fighters you know that got cut by the punch? I mean, obviously Tyson Fury got cut his last fight against Wallen with a punch, but when you say "I'm gonna cut you," normally, especially if you got the reputation of being a dirty fighter, it's kind of not a good look. You know, when you say that, especially when the referee hears that. I mean, let's say the referee that's refereeing the fight watch that face to face. Automatically, as soon as there's a headbutt, he might think it's intentional. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I think it's a fight. I don't. It's like this is a good look. It's just I think he's saying it's gonna be physical. It's gonna be dog. You're gonna have to deal with some stuff. And regarding boxing use tactics, but we also have to remember like there are still 2 guys fighting in there. And so some people complain about like holding and like other things to do. I just think that if the referee does not penalize you, or if you work within however that referee wants to govern that bout, then that's just using your tactics. People who try to call Bernard Hopkins a dirty fighter. Bernard Hopkins is just a genius at fighting. Yeah. He will like if you slip and he'll like and anything that he can get away with is legal because it's not illegal until you get caught doing it.
Yeah,
in that sense.
Hitting you low while the referee's on the
it's
other
a
side.
Fight.
Same
it's a
thing
fight.
that Salido did against Lomachenko. People
it's a
say,
fight.
Oh,
that's
a fight.
Like those are veteran moves. If you do that, like nobody's gonna. I still look at Salido as a guy who beat Lomachenko. He did a lot of questionable tactics to do that, but
he took him to the Mexican school though. Mexican school. Now, the fact that you stated obviously,
because that's make sure that because that's our audience too. Because remember we gotta like make eye contact with them and stuff.
I got you, but so the fact that Errol Spence, I believe his body positioning in the inside, the way he fights, it's just that he knows where to position his body, where he could hit his opponent and not be hit. So I believe the inside fighting, Errol Spence will be ahead of that. Even dirty tactics, he already stated, if Shawn Porter does anything dirty, I will return the favor. So that being said, we'll see fight night. That's next Saturday night, so we will sure tune in and buy the pay-per-view fight on Fox Sport. Now the next question is. Yeah, you gonna buy the pay-per-view. I'm gonna watch it with you. Canelo Alvarez is favored early against Sergio Kovalev.
Yeah.
Now, do you agree? So. Who is you picking? Do you think is Canelo taking on a tough task, or do you think he sees something in Kovalev that he feels that Kovalev is the weakest link at the light heavyweight division?
The weakest link? I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think he has the top name recognition of anybody in the light heavyweight. I mean, Kovalev is known as the Crusher for a reason, and to me, I think he's a future Hall of Famer. I think he's getting to the tail end of his career at this point, but that doesn't diminish from the work that he's done. I think a lot of people their perception of him changed when he got beat by Andre Ward twice. But
not just Andre Ward. You had Alvarez knock him out too.
yeah, I thought that was a bit of an aberration. I mean, aberration. I will say that Kovalev did come back and avenge that. I actually didn't think that he would be able to do it. I saw that fight and I pretty much I thought the writing was on the wall for Kovalev. But in his subsequent bouts, he's proven that he still has some in the tank. He's not as dominant. I thought he was a top 3 or 4 pound for pound fighter in his heyday when he was knocking out Nathan Cleverly, John Pascal, Bernard Hopkins. I thought he was terrorizing.
Yeah, he was.
I thought Adonis Stevenson tried everything in his power to avoid that fight and was able to do that. Speaking of him, I'm still hoping that he has a quick recovery. He's dealing with some.
He got a court date coming up too, so he's gonna definitely need that money. But that being said, see, the thing is, obviously Canelo stated he wanted to be undisputed. Now, he had 3 of the belts. All he was missing was Andre belt, the WBO, I believe. But he chose to get stripped of his WBC title, and Charlo got the belt. And then, obviously, the IBF stripped him, too, because he had to fight Derevyanchenko. My point is he seemed like he's still avoiding Andre and Charlo and them guys that were champions at 154 when he was still fighting at 154. So the fact that he taking on Kovalev out of nowhere after, obviously, you've seen the Yard fight. Yard only had 18 pro fights against not the top level competitions that Kovalev, been fighting. He had 18 professional fights against kind of nobodies, and he had 12 amateur bouts. That's 30 bouts total. And he almost knocked out Kovalev in the 8th round. And in my opinion, if he had the right game plan going into the fight, like going to the body from round 1 instead of boxing with Kovalev, because I believe the early rounds were competitive, but he wasted a lot of energy boxing Kovalev. And that's his forte. I mean, Kovalev can't fight in the inside, but he could box. So he kind of burned his energy out trying to avoid the jab, and then that's what hurt him, because by the time he made it to the 8th round, he never been 12 rounds, especially not with a Kovalev.
Yeah.
And he had Kovalev hurt. So the fact that Yard, with not much experience, he almost knocked out Kovalev. I see Canelo knocking out Kovalev to the body. I just don't see him having an easy time doing so. The only reason is because Kovalev, I mean, I seen the face off. That dude looked like a giant next to him. Kovalev looked like a little kid. I mean,
you thought Kovalev looked like a little kid?
No. I meant Canelo. Canelo looked like a little kid. I mean, Canelo, we know his advantages. Obviously, speed. He has great upper body movement. He's a very calculated fighter. He goes to the body well. But his disadvantages in this fight is obviously his slow feet and Sergio Kovalev reach and his jab. It's going to be a nightmare trying to get away from Kovalev's jab while he's moving away, especially early on. So I'm very interested to see Canelo Alvarez close the distance on Kovalev, because Kovalev is going to be very hard to get to, especially early on while he still have his feet. Now, if Canelo could take that away by going to the body and break him down for the later rounds, then obviously I could see the stoppage later, and that's my prediction. But early on is going to be a tough task. The only thing that he really has going for him is that Canelo has great upper body movement, and the fact that Kovalev doesn't hook. So he jabs you, but he don't hook you. So it's kind of predictable. His offense is very predictable. It's 1-2-1. He kind of uses his body for the last jab. So it's a harder punch. It might be just a jab, but it feels like a power punch. So that being said, I think Canelo will struggle early. He might even get hurt, but I don't think he's going to get caught with a lot of power shots, just a lot of jabs. But once he get to the inside, I see him just dominating, because he's a short, compact fighter, and Kovalev doesn't generate a lot of power when he's in the inside. He doesn't generate a lot of twerk. So, yeah, he's a very hard puncher. He's the crusher for a reason. But in the inside, he is not a crusher. So Canelo will be the crusher in the inside. And the fact that Kovalev just doesn't have any inside game will give Canelo the upper hand, in my opinion, since he's the fresher, younger fighter, and Kovalev is on his way out the door. And that's why I believe he's fought the weakest link at the 175-pound division, is because, you know, he's taking on a fighter on the way out. I mean, I see Kovalev, this is about to be almost his last fight, you know, so get your money and leave the sport while you still have your health. So what's your take on that, and what's your prediction? Who you picking and why?
So I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna have Kovalev by a split decision. So I'm just part of it just being the natural.
Oh, you got Kovalev by split. Hold on.
Yeah, Kovalev by split decision. So part of it is me being a natural contrarian. But so there's a couple of things I want to point out. So, you've never really seen Kovalev get outboxed, right? So even with his first fight with Andre Ward, initially I didn't score the fight, but initially watching the fight, I thought Kovalev won. I just kind of just walked away. Even Andre Ward's body language. So and that speaks to Andre Ward's undefeated, kind of considered a genius boxer in the ring. But Kovalev lost a very hotly contested split decision to him, enough for that it warranted an immediate rematch. And then you talked about how Yarde, it was like his game plan should have been, early on getting to the body and doing that, and that he wasn't doing that. I also think that Kovalev wasn't allowing him. Like Kovalev, when he is committed to it, has a piston-like jab. It is. I've seen him knock down people with his jab. I think he might even knock down Yarde with his jab. But he throws it like
he knocked him out with his jab.
Yeah, he throws it like a power punch.
Yeah.
And that to me is his best weapon. Everybody knows him for his right hand, but his right hand comes after he's hit it behind his jab. But when he's firing off on his jab and he's consistent with it, he's a very effective fighter and boxer, I think.
Yeah, he definitely sets you up. With the jab, and he blinds you and hide the right hand. Now with the Andre Ward fight, that's actually a great point that you pointed out. Not too many fighters kind of outbox Kovalev, but I would say this to Andre Ward's defense. He did get knocked down early, but he got up. In my opinion, he won the third round right after. But since HBO was so biased and they were promoting this Kovalev crusher, there was kind of everything Andre Ward did, they wouldn't talk about it. And then the scorecard, I mean, the guy that was scoring, R.I.P. to him, I forgot his name, but the HBO, the person that scores, what's his name?
Letterman,
yeah, Letterman. Even in the rematch, he had Kovalev winning literally every round when Kovalev wasn't. So my point is, commentators kind of influence a lot of people, what they hear, and that kind of change your opinion. But Andre Ward did win a lot of the later rounds, and Kovalev got gassed out past the fifth round, and that's where Andre Ward was able to pick it up and land a lot of body shots. And that's in the rematch. That's what he picked up on. Now I point that out because for Canelo Alvarez, that should be his blueprint. Like you said, it's hard to get to Kovalev early. The reason why is his footwork and his piston-like jab. But what you could do is just a lot of head movement, which Canelo Alvarez has, and you got to cut that distance. Now, Yard, in my opinion, came to box Kovalev early. I don't think he went inside and tried to fight him early on. I don't think that was the case, because when he did so, he kind of got in the inside and fought him for a little bit. And when Kovalev was like, oh, that's a no-no, I got to get out of here, he started boxing more. So I believe Canelo just need to have a game plan and stick to it the whole night. And in my opinion, throughout his experience, he's going to be able to do so. But, like I said, it's a very dangerous fight because you're trying to cut the distance against a very powerful puncher. Even though Canelo Alvarez is a counter puncher, I don't think his being aggressive is his forte. I don't think that's his best attributes. I believe his best attributes is to sit down on counter punches because I believe he's a power. He's a boxer puncher. Mm-hmm. So Canelo is best when a fighter comes to him and fight him, and but when he has to actually cut the distance and follow an opponent around, I don't think that's his best attributes, because obviously Amir Khan was outboxing him. I mean, Amir Khan was dancing circles around him till he got to him in the 4th round. So he's gonna have a hard time early. So I could see Kovalev actually winning the fight. You know, it's a good fight. You know, yeah. But at the end of the day, I think Canelo is catching Kovalev at the right time, because obviously, I mean, he just took a lot of punishment his last fight. I don't even know if he recovered from that to go on and fight a next opponent this early. You know.
Yeah, it'll be a good fight. I'm going with the upset.
We could put money on that though. You know, I got Viva Mexico, huh? So Manny Pacquiao, you know, there's a lot of names been thrown around. I don't know if y'all heard. Danny Garcia came out stating that he's gonna steal the Manny Pacquiao fight from Errol Spence. Also, Mikey Garcia said they're negotiating with Manny Pacquiao, and you have Manny Pacquiao wanting to fight NO-Machenko. And then you have Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence. So, knowing Manny Pacquiao and his track record, who do you think Manny Pacquiao is going to fight next? From all these names I just named. Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, NO-Machenko, Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter winner.
I'm guessing that you will see Manny Pacquiao sign a contract to fight Mikey Garcia.
Mikey Garcia, yeah. After taking the biggest ass whooping of the year,
he's still a name opponent. When you fight a Mexican or a Mexican American fighter, they are going to have a robust fan base that are gonna accompany that fight. He wants that fight to be on pay-per-view, and Manny Pacquiao has a storied history against Mexican and the Mexican American fighters. So I think that's a built-in storyline for that. So from Eric Morales to Marco Antonio Barrera to Raul Marquez, there's a storied history with that. I think that it's a calculated risk for Pacquiao. He won't be at so much of a size disadvantage, which he's used to. He's learned how to box effectively from that. But I think fighting somebody who he's probably similar stature with Mikey. I ultimately. But we're not predicting on that fight. But I mean, that's who I predict is going to get that fight.
Now, as far as obviously Mexican, they are known for boxing and supporting their people when it comes to the sport of boxing. But I believe it's a handful of fighters. I don't think Mikey, after coming off a loss like he did with Errol Spence, because let's not forget, he didn't perform too well. He got beat up the whole night. So it's not a good look for Manny Pacquiao to state, I want to fight the winner of Spence and Porter, and then fight the guy who Errol Spence literally beat up, all night long. So it's gonna be hard to sell the pay-per-view. And obviously, Mikey's not a trash talker, and Manny Pacquiao is not a trash talker. So if there's not a lot of trash talk going on, and the fact that they don't have no history. Obviously, they sparred in the past, but that was about it. Like the Marquez situation where Manny actually fought Marquez and lost to him, or had a draw, back and forth. That sells. Controversy sells. But the fact that Mikey, like I said, he talked all that big talk against Errol Spence, but he couldn't live up to it. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing Mikey get an opportunity, but I just don't think that fight will do too well. And
why not?
Because he's just coming off a big loss.
So
like, people remember you.
Who do you think people want to fight? Who want to fight more? See Mikey Garcia fight Errol Spence, or Mikey Garcia fight Pacquiao, and that was a pay-per-view.
I believe Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence will still top Mikey Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao because
No way.
hold on. Let me explain.
No way.
I believe what sold.
No way.
Let me tell you why. The reason why. Do you know how many pay-per-view numbers Keith Thurman did against Manny Pacquiao?
I don't.
450, I believe.
How many did Errol Spence and Mikey?
375. So,
so
hold on. Keith Thurman, that's a big name, right?
Keith Thurman's not a big name. He's never
Keith
he's never had a pay-per-view fight.
He
He looked trash in his last fight. He had been away from the boxing community for 2 years. People don't.
That's what Manny Pacquiao fans want. If they're gonna pay a Manny Pacquiao fight, they're gonna want him to win. They're not gonna want him to get knocked out.
Yeah. I mean, you just said that it has to be somebody who's like recognizable, and they're gonna think that out of all of those names that you said, that he has the best chance against Mikey Garcia. I actually think Mikey Garcia will win that fight. I think it'll be good. It'll be a lot of back and forth, but it's no way that Manny Pacquiao against Mikey Garcia doesn't outsell Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia.
Let me explain my case. So you have Mikey Garcia, right? He never been on pay-per-view before the Errol Spence fight. He never been on pay-per-view. And Keith Thurman never been on pay-per-view. However, Keith Thurman been in big fights. And Keith Thurman big fights when he fought Shawn Porter and when he fought Danny Garcia, I believe.
That's how long? 3 years ago?
2 years ago. Whatever, though. But my point is, he did 3 million views versus Shawn Porter and 4.9 million views against Guerrero when they first started PBC. And he always managed to do millions, right?
Are you talking about Mikey
Keith
Garcia?
Thurman. No, that's Keith Thurman. Mikey Garcia, on the other hand, when he fought Broner, and Broner is a big name.
That was pay-per-view.
No, it was on Showtime, regular Showtime.
Oh.
They did 950,000 views. So I'm saying if after he fought Broner, he fought Robert Easter.
One's a paid cable premium, other one is on
obviously,
free TV.
That's my point, though. That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
So Mikey fought Robert Easter after that, did around the same numbers he did against Broner. Then Mikey chose to fight Errol Spence. Even though you could say, obviously, that's Showtime and that's free TV, but that's the whole purpose of free TV. It gets you to exposure to more fans. So people will know you more. Oh, I remember seeing that fight. More people saw Shawn Porter versus Keith Thurman than they did Mikey Garcia versus Broner because it was on free TV. That's the whole purpose of Al Heyman putting fights on free TV to build up fighters. So when Keith Thurman fought Manny Pacquiao, you expect with Manny Pacquiao's status, they will sell like 1 million pay-per-view, especially after all the trash talk. After Manny Pacquiao got threatened by Keith Thurman, he would crucify him.
It was
lame.
It was lame trash talk. It seemed like Keith Thurman was pressing. It wasn't clever. Like nobody's impressed with Keith Thurman's talk. Keith Thurman had some legitimacy to the supremacy at 147. Nobody cared about that trash.
Hold on.
I mean, it was kind of sad.
Let me finish. Hold on.
Sad.
Keith Thurman, you keep saying that after the fight, but Keith Thurman could talk the talk. He just couldn't walk the walk.
Really?
If he knocked him out,
he's cringy when he talks.
So look, some people might find it corny, whatever he
Cringy.
said, cringy, whatever. But at the end of the day, if Keith Thurman pulled off the knockout, I promise you, people would have like, oh man, like it would have blew up most of the things he say. But now,
that's just a good name.
It became a perfect example of trash talk going wrong for Keith Thurman. That's why it's not a good look, right? But my point is, up to that point, people believed in him. People thought he was going to knock out Manny Pacquiao.
No,
but
trash talk gone wrong is like McGregor fighting
Khabib,
the Magomedov. Like that's somebody else was doing that. Keith Thurman, it was just.
What you mean? He got knocked out the first. He got knocked down the first round. That's trash talk going completely wrong.
All right.
So, anyways, my point is, Mikey Garcia chose to fight Errol Spence. Why? Because that was the biggest fight possible, bigger than a NO-Machenko fight, bigger than any fight around his division. So he decided to move up 2 divisions. Why? Because Errol Spence has the Cowboy engine behind him. Cowboy is a $5 billion company right there. So they pushing Errol Spence. They promoting Errol Spence in the meantime during
games. They don't
games.
have the Cowboy engine.
They promoting him during games. But my point is, he fought Ocampo, right? Sold 15,000 tickets, and nobody knew Ocampo. And then against Mikey Garcia, obviously, it was in his hometown. Let's say half of them fans wasn't Errol Spence fan, but after the fight, guess what? Them fans will become his fans because he fought Mexican style. Mikey Garcia did not fight Mexican style. So my point is, if Mikey Garcia after that embarrassing loss, obviously he decided he wanted to be great, but he failed at it. He
gets credit for doing it.
He get credit, but he don't get credit. Look, you gotta pull it off. You can't just get credit for losing.
It's levels to this stuff, right? So when Errol Spence, who has a cowboy machine behind him, right? You know where they had that fight at? It wasn't at the stadium. That's on our It was at the training center.
But he still sold 15,000 tickets.
When Manny Pacquiao fights out there, he fights in the big stadium.
And where did Errol Spence fight Mikey Garcia?
I don't know.
At the big stadium, they sold 47,000 tickets.
That's okay. It's about half what Manny Pacquiao sold there.
Do you know Errol Spence versus Mikey outsold Manny Pacquiao versus Claudia, I believe. I think they outsold him, or they
it didn't outsell Manny Pacquiao against Antonio Margarito.
Maybe I don't know, but I sold one of them, but it wasn't that. It was like
that one was like 80 something.
Oh no, it wasn't no 80,000. I promise you, it was no.
It's
probably 52,
maybe right.
But I'm saying, regardless of any of that, the only difference is a couple thousands. It don't matter. Like 47,000 and 48,000. I don't see that's a big deal. My point is Errol Spence is the star. So Errol Spence is who won the fight. Errol Spence, who the fans, when they left that night, they were like, man, Errol Spence, that's a bad boy. That's a bad man. I know,
but I'm trying to figure out. So what's your argument? So your argument is that
my argument is Mikey
Garcia are going to sell out. Are going to sell more than if Mikey Garcia fights Manny Pacquiao.
Repeat the question.
So your thoughts is the fight that already happened, Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence, will do better numbers than if Mikey Garcia fought Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, I just don't believe the fight will sell. I believe if Manny want to do big numbers, I believe maybe a Danny Garcia fight, because Danny at least coming off a win. Like if Mikey hold on. If Mikey goes and gets a win, then he's in the discussion, because people remember the last thing you did. Like in hip hop, people remember the last album you sold. In boxing, people remember your last fight. So I don't care what you did for 10 years. You get knocked out that year, people forget about everything you did. People will remember you for your last fight. They'll be like, oh, he washed up. Why? Because he's lost and got knocked out, right? So people remember Mikey Garcia right now as the guy who moved up in division and got destroyed by Errol Spence. So till Mikey Garcia fights a guy and prove himself, then I believe the Mikey Garcia versus Pacquiao fight could sell. But my point, Pacquiao will be wiser to fight Danny. Obviously, he tried to fight NO-Machenko, but NO-Machenko turned that fight down. And I don't think NO-Machenko is interested. And he already turned it down before. So, obviously, after he looked bad his last fight, I don't think he going to want that Manny Pacquiao fight now. But Manny, best bet, if you don't want to fight Errol Spence and go through the headache, is to fight a guy like Danny Garcia. Even though Danny Garcia claimed Keith Thurman stole the Pacquiao fight from me, I'm going to do the same and steal Pacquiao fight from Errol Spence, even though I don't agree with that statement, because Keith Thurman did not steal the fight from you. He just beat you. You got to put yourself in a position to get the Pacquiao fight, to hit the lotto. You lost the Keith Thurman fight, and he lost the Shawn Porter fight. Now, if he would have won them fights, he could have been in the position to fight Manny Pacquiao fight.
Who lost Shawn Porter?
Danny Garcia. So the fact, because Danny claimed that Keith Thurman stole the Manny Pacquiao fight from him.
Okay.
So I'm saying, like, he didn't steal it from you. He just was the champion. You don't have nothing to offer. You don't have a title. You don't have nothing. Like, so that's why I don't see Manny too interested in Danny. I understand if you don't want to fight Danny Garcia, but if not,
I just don't think a lot of people are
fight Errol Spence, man.
Danny's kind of uninteresting. I don't know if a lot of people care about Danny Garcia. We'll see. Who did he fight last?
That guy who gave Shawn Porter a tough fight, and Brona, I forgot his name.
Oh yeah, but
he knocked him out. He looked impressive, but he's a 140-pounder. My point is, Danny is not beating these the best 147-pounders. He been in with two, a loss to two. Keith Thurman and what's his name? Shawn Porter. When he fought Guerrero for a title, Guerrero lost to Floyd, then lost to I believe Keith Thurman. and then had a draw with another fighter, and then he got a title shot against Danny Garcia for a vacant belt. So it's kind of like they gave him,
good. I think
a free belt.
we can agree to disagree. I think Mikey's gonna get the fight. That's just I think people want to see that. I think more people are interested.
Man. That's horrible. Now, how about Lomachenko?
Lomachenko
Against Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I believe
that's not gonna happen. Not right now. Lomachenko will have to go up too many weight classes. Lomachenko is really focused on clearing out his weight class.
Manny said he would link up with him.
Yeah, I don't. But he doesn't have a belt or anything to like. Manny Pacquiao.
Manny is the belt. Manny's the lotto. If you
what I'm saying, like,
star,
if Lomachenko wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, he could fight him right now. All he had to do is say it. Like, he doesn't want to fight that Lomachenko. He's taking for whatever reason he's taking a calculated risk. I think that he feels that the weight disparity might be a little bit too much to overcome.
Manny will go down in weight.
I'm saying you're just a natural bigger fighter. Like you fight
from 108 now.
I'm just talking about like
now. Man, what's going on? Pacquiao is the smaller fighter if we're really talking about it because
compared to Lomachenko.
Because Pacquiao started at a lower weight. So
yeah, he was like 14 years old.
Yeah, but Lomachenko stated he wanted to be. No, he wasn't 14. He was
he was 16 years old
when he fought fighting. Barrera, Morales, all these guys. They were fighting around 126. Yeah, so my point is, Manny's a small fighter too, and he's talking about he's gonna go down in weight to fight him. Let's not forget, Lomachenko fought 132 most of his amateur career.
Listen,
so he's not a small fighter.
You were just asking me why that's not gonna happen. Like, this is his thinking. He's like, I don't know if it's true or it's not, but I think he's thinking at this point that I don't really want to kind of deal with that, that kind of weight disparity. And what I'm saying is that he obviously doesn't want to fight because right now there's a lot of people calling out Manny Pacquiao, but there's one person that could call him out right now and get the fight, and his name is Lomachenko, and he's not doing that. So I was like, I'm not even
talking about being on the hope list. You could call somebody anytime and you get the fight, and you still don't do so, even though that fight will elevate you to high status as far as pay-per-view sales and all that. But my point is, if Lomachenko want to be as great as Manny Pacquiao like he claims, then fight Manny Pacquiao now, because Manny Pacquiao is not going to be here forever. I mean, if you don't fight him next or in a fight or two, he's out of the picture. But all the other fights will still be around. Now, that being said, I got some news for you that you might not enjoy too much. So Keith Thurman came out and stated he hurt his hand before the Manny Pacquiao fight, and he fought with an injury basically. Or I believe that's what he means. I don't think he meant he broke his hand during the fight. He's claiming like basically he had to train with one hand and fight with one hand, even though he was throwing both hands. I don't know what the man talking about. One time, what's going on with one time?
I shrug. I don't know. Keith Thurman, he is somebody who I think is becoming less and less interested in being a professional fighter, which is fine. It's a hard sport. He has a beautiful wife. I think they're starting a family and all that. And what's the news that he's hurt again? Like and you were saying that like I'm not really that mad at it. It's like I don't even. It's not like I'm chomping at the bit to see him fight. To be honest,
I mean, me as a person, I was a fan of Keith Thurman on the come up. He was saying all the right things, but it's just he didn't back it up. He will say something about Floyd that he don't like what Floyd does, but when he gets up there, he ain't gonna do it. And he didn't even manage to get close to Floyd's status, and he's already doing things worse than Floyd. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Keith? But as far as the injury, I mean, when he told Errol Spence go beat Kell Brook, get a belt, I'll fight you. As soon as Errol Spence did that, he claimed he had to get an elbow surgery. We were like, fine with that. We had to wait 2 years. And now, you got the fight that you claim you wanted. You said Manny Pacquiao. I don't care if Manny Pacquiao on steroids or not. I don't care if this fight has VADA testing or not. I'm going to knock his ass out. I'm going to crucify him. Don't duck me, son. He was saying things like that. So my point is, it's like, come on, Keith. You can't come out with excuses. You got to take the loss like a champion, and he did man up to it, but like I said, coming out with excuses after it won't do you no good. People, the Manny Pacquiao fans already like you because you gave a good fight, and you lost, that's what they want, right? So the fact that you already did so and didn't make excuses, you already fine in their book. But the fact that you're not coming out with excuses, now you're gonna get bashed from every direction. So I just don't think it's wise, and I don't see the point of it. Like, I mean, you talk the talk, but couldn't back it up, and I don't see Manny Pacquiao interested in the rematch because I just be like, he already did what he was supposed to do the first time, and he took a lot of punishment doing so. Where Bob Arum stated that he gonna carry that punishment throughout his career. And hopefully, God forbid anything bad happening to Manny Pacquiao. But
I don't listen to Bob Arum talk about his ex-fighters. It's never from a position of empathy, or it's not genuine. So it's like, wow, Bob Arum's bashing one of his ex-fighters.
Yeah.
Is it De La Hoya? Is it Mayweather? Is it so?
Ruiz?
But I mean, with Keith Thurman, I think that. I don't know. I'm not really interested in seeing him. What he's gonna do is say, "Oh, I'm injured, so I got to take this easy fight and do that, which he'll probably struggle with." And then he's gonna talk about, "Well, I need a year for my get back, and then I'm gonna fight the real fighters." I'm kind of over it. I'm like, you know what? There's nobody that I really want to see him fight. Besides like Errol Spence, which he won't do, just so I can see him, see Errol maybe punish him a little bit. But I'm like. I'm kind of like moved on. I'm more interested in the people who are fighting, like Terrence Crawford and like Errol Spence and even Shawn Porter.
You trying to see Keith Thurman get hurt? You talking about versus Errol Spence?
What's the point? We've seen him against all the other top 5 welterweights except for Crawford and
Errol Spence.
And Errol
That's
Spence.
the 2 guys he don't want to.
And he won't fight though, so I'm not gonna be chasing that.
Yeah. Now I got news for you as far as I already reported on this, but Ruiz basically discussed the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight, and he basically stated he want Deontay Wilder. He got his eyes on the prize, which is Anthony Joshua. He's not and he's not overlooking Anthony Joshua, but he's looking at the big picture. So, what you think about those comments? He thinks him and Deontay Wilder possibly next and to fight for undisputed.
The heavyweight division is kind of in a bit of a paradox, I think. So to me it's at one of its healthiest states, probably in the last maybe 20 years, because we had the Klitschko reign for about, how long was that? It was like a decade
or so.
I was actually, to be honest, I was actually a fan of them. They didn't have the most kind of salivating style that you would want the casual fan to do, but I appreciate the nuance in there. And with Vladimir, he had to kind of just overcome a lot, anxiety and all these other stuff, just to become a champion. So he he was able to do that. But I think now is that we have some these kind of faces of heavyweight boxing that we can kind of relate to, whether it's Ruiz or Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. And so I'm happy about that. As boxing goes, I mean, as the heavyweight division goes, so does boxing, particularly within its popularity and place within our society.
Who's gonna go on top? After everything is settled, who you think will be the man standing? And do you even see a man standing? Do you think?
Yeah, I think
might be a fighter that could beat ex-fighter but lose to that other fighter. What you think?
So I think the best boxer out of all of those is Tyson Fury. A lot of people won't necessarily agree with me, but I did. I thought he put on a damn near masterclass against Wilder. He had a couple of laps in his concentration, which got him almost KO'd, knocked down a couple of times. Joshua, to me, he fits the profile, has the look, says the right things, seems like a genuinely nice person. I don't know if his head is necessarily up for the task, which I never would have said that before. He was an Olympic champion. He's fought in front of 80,000, 90,000 people in Wilmington, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't. But just his last fight, I saw a lot of things that he was going through, and I don't know if he has a mental makeup for it. Um, Ruiz, like I would put,
Ruiz got
I
skills.
would I would put him on par with any of those fighters. Um, I just he has a pedigree. He has fast hands, good power, could take a good punch. Um, I think he can be outboxed. I think they've kind of shown that, but he like you have to stick to your game plan and stay with it. Have to be mentally strong. Um, but I just think that Deontay Wilder, who has the style that I would never teach to any up and comer fighter, just has the ultimate eraser, and it's just one of the most powerful punchers that we've seen in the history of the sport.
So name your guy.
So I am going to go
We're gonna
with.
put your house on this, so make sure you get the
I
right
am going to
pick.
go when all of the smoke clears. I am going to go with Deontay Wilder,
Okay.
the Alabaman.
Okay. I mean, I co-sign that with you. I ain't gonna disagree with you on that one. I believe Tyson Fury, he the best boxer of the bunch, but he lacks, I believe, mental, not in the ring, but outside of the ring. He just can't stay on task. And I mean, we don't know how many fighters he really beat because obviously the Klitschko fight, there was controversy as far as the PED testing where he failed the drug test. And then you don't know if he actually was clean for that fight. And the rematch, obviously, then he used the drug situation to cover up for that. And then the Deontay Wilder fight, he was doing well. I believe the early rounds was competitive, but he kind of managed to, Wilder probably won a couple of the early rounds and then got the knockdown. So I could see it was a draw for the people that say, okay, well, Tyson Fury won most of the rounds. Well, you could say Deontay Wilder knocked him out. I mean, the guy didn't beat the count, but the referee gave him a longer count. And that's why you got a person beside the arena counting 1, 2, 3, because they know the referee is going to be a little confused. So they count so the referee could count after them. So he obviously gave the Tyson Fury the benefit of the doubt. He told him, walk to that corner over there, walk to the corner over there, come back. You okay? Can you fight? He gave him all the benefits in the world. So that's why a draw was okay in my opinion, and the fact that running it back was the key. But Tyson Fury chose to go to ESPN to fight unknown fighters. I mean, Tom Schwartz, a guy's not even ranked on the top 50. So that's my problem with Tyson Fury almost losing his last fight against Wallen. I mean, getting cut twice with a punch and getting 50 stitches, and you find a guy that's not really known, So it's not discrediting Otto Wallen. It's just Otto Wallen didn't have the experience or the conditioning to be in there with a Tyson Fury. And if he did, he would have pulled off the upset. And ESPN had to save him. The commentator had to save Tyson Fury, telling go interview Tyson Fury and trainer and let him know that it was not due to the cut was not due to a headbutt. It was due to a punch. Like, you don't do that as a commentator. That's not your job. But my point is, Tyson Fury has the skills. Just mentally outside of the ring, he's not all there. Ruiz seemed to have it all, but sometimes, I mean, I'm hearing things like he's partying too much. But hey, let the guy celebrate after a big victory, but he got to focus on the task at hand. I mean, Anthony Joshua, like you stated, mentally he ain't there. Boxing is 90% mental, 10% physical, like Mike Tyson stated. So if you're not there mentally, I can't pick you. And obviously, Deontay Wilder, he got that eraser on his right hand. And whatever all these other fighters done wrote in the history book, guess what? Deontay Wilder could grab an eraser and erase all that from their history book just with one punch. So it's kind of hard to go against Deontay Wilder because the fact that he beat the most skilled guy in the division, which was Ortiz, that he's rematching, the fact that he knocked him out, even though Ortiz supposed to have the better skills, and he does, but Wilder, his own wildness works for him. It's like, it's hard to counter a wild man that could knock you out with any punch. It's kind of like his awkwardness works for him. That's his own style. It's some shit you don't try at home. You leave that to the professionals, and that's Deontay Wilder. So The fact that he's awkward, it makes it harder for skillful fighters to counter him. That's what makes Deontay Wilder unique, and that's what I believe that will give him the upper hand in the heavyweight division, and he will become the undisputed champion, in my opinion, because one mistake and you're out of there. It's hard to not get hit with one punch in the sport of boxing, just like it is if you swim, you get wet, you box, you get hit. So it's going to be hard to not get hit by Deontay Wilder right hand, knowing that he has tremendous hand speed. Now, next topic at hand, we have the pound-for-pound list. Now, it has been readjusted. Now, according to the report that I read, that's who they got. And let me get your thoughts on this. They got Lomachenko number 1, Terence Crawford number 2, Errol Spence number 3. What's your thoughts? Who is your... My question is, do you agree with this list? This is a 3-part question. Do you agree with this list? If so, why so? If not, why not? And second part of this question, who is your top 5? If you don't agree
top
with
5?
this, yeah, your top 5 pound for pound, and why?
All right. What the first one? I have no problem with that. I don't want to get into.
No, you gotta agree with it, or you don't agree.
Well, I agree with it.
Okay.
I mean,
so you agree Lomachenko pound for pound number 1?
Yeah, I think that. I think with Lomachenko, he's probably beat. I think almost everybody he faced early on was either a champion or a former champion. I think that part of being pound for pound, because it's a mythical title, and a lot of times you can't settle those differences in the ring, so you just have to theorize why one fighter is kind of better than the other.
Sometimes you can. If the fighters are around each other division, but who's your top?
Well, yeah, but the reason that they did a pound for pound was because of Sugar Ray Robinson. Like, Sugar Ray Robinson could never fight any of those heavyweights or anything in the thing, but they were saying that pound for pound, this is the best fighter in there. Like, if he fought a heavyweight, of course he wouldn't necessarily be able to win. Yeah.
But I'm talking about if they around their division, like a division or 2 up. That's all. I'm not saying like a heavyweight or none of that.
Yeah,
but who's your top 5?
So my top 5 would be Lomachenko, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Canelo Alvarez, and finishing out is Inouye, yeah, from Japan. Inouye, that's my number 5.
Well, I definitely disagree with you on that one. I believe Lomachenko don't deserve to be in the pound for pound number 1 spot. I mean, in order for him to climb up that ladder, Terence Crawford has to get dethroned. Obviously, we all know Floyd Mayweather was the pound for pound number 1 for the longest. Andre Ward was right there behind him after Manny Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez. At that, because Manny Pacquiao was after Floyd, like, at all time, but I'm talking about the time where Floyd kind of took care of Manny Pacquiao, or when Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez. Andre Ward was always there with Floyd, but he could never get to the pound for pound spot. The reason why, he had Floyd Mayweather problems. Floyd Mayweather never got dethroned. Lomachenko has the same problem. I know some people might say, oh, well, Lomachenko did this and that. Listen, Lomachenko lost to Salido. Now, I know a lot of people say that's his second professional fight. Fine. Rematch the guy and beat him. The rematch was offered to Lomachenko. Lomachenko stated, I don't care about that fight at this point of my career. Why? I mean, the guy is a guy who beat you, who is a champion. So you're going to tell me you don't care about that fight? Keep in mind, how many losses does Lomachenko has in the amateurs?
I don't know.
1. He has 400 fights and 1 loss.
1?
1. Now you don't believe it.
I might guess he can maybe have more than.
Yeah, but let's say it's true though, right?
Yeah.
You know that one guy that beat him, Lomachenko made sure he rematched that guy multiple times, and Lomachenko beat him because he was so offended that guy was able to beat him, right? He wanted to prove that he was better than him, that he just had the best of him that night. My point is, nobody really cares about an amateur loss, but people care about a pro loss. And that was your second professional fight against a world champion that took you to the Mexican school of boxing. A whole new school. You know, he didn't even know about that university. He didn't know that university existed. Salido took him to that school, and Lomachenko did not graduate. So if I was him, I would have went back to that school and wanted to graduate from that school. He didn't want to do that. So my point is, you're gonna want to avenge your amateur losses, but not your professional losses.
He doesn't have to though.
Yes, he do.
Well, why? You just said they just put him at #1 pound for pound.
Okay, that's because he's on the hope list. That's because he got the complexion for the protection. Well, that don't mean, man. Listen, Teddy Atlas told Andre Ward to his face and Terrence Crawford to his face after the after Terrence Crawford became undisputed at 140, literally after his fight, when Lomachenko only had 9 fights, literally. I don't even think he fought a Rigondeaux at the time, but even if he did, don't matter. He told Andre Ward, who's coming off knocking out Kovalev in the second round. Kovalev was a pound-for-pound fighter at the time, as you stated earlier. Yeah. And Andre Ward was the true pound-for-pound after Floyd retired. And you had Terrence Crawford right behind him, who became undisputed. He told them to their face, a fighter with 9 fights and 1 loss is pound-for-pound #1. He told them, y'all not competing with yourselves. Y'all competing with Lomachenko, the guy with only 9 fights and 1 loss. So you telling me Andre Ward, a fighter who got a gold medalist, competed in the pros and the amateurs, haven't lost a fight since 14, right? With a broken shoulder, supposedly, right? He went to the pros and never lost and stayed dominating and beat Kovalev, beat pound-for-pound fighters. He proved himself over decades in the sport of boxing. You telling me that guy don't deserve to be pound-for-pound #1, but a fighter that did it for only 1 year or 2 years at the time deserved to be pound-for-pound #1 when he haven't showed anything? Matter of fact, he already lost.
We talking about Andre Ward?
No, I'm just pointing out why they put Lomachenko pound-for-pound #1. It's because they want a fighter from the hope list to be on the pound-for-pound #1. Let's look at it from all the fighters from the greatest to now. Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robertson, Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Leonard. You got Floyd Mayweather. Most of the fighters that was pound-for-pound #1 were from the same group. They want a different group. They want a Lomachenko, a guy from the hope list. So all I'm saying is we can't go by that. We got to go by straight facts. Whatever Lomachenko is trying to accomplish today, Terrence Crawford already accomplished. Lomachenko,
like what?
Lomachenko want to be undisputed at 135. Terrence Crawford already did that 140. You could say that was a weak division. Well, 135 is a weak division when Lomachenko is doing it now because he just fought for a vacant belt against a guy who's ranked #5 in the division, struggling in that fight, losing 5 rounds to 6 rounds in that fight. Meanwhile, he fought the fight before that. Linares dropped him. The guy that Tank knocked out.
Well, that was 2 fights before that.
What's his name? The guy that Tank knocked out. I forgot.
Pedraza
gave him a hard time. He fought for a title against people that he wasn't supposed to. Like, when does it?
But he also he cleaned Rocky Martinez clock.
Rocky Martinez.
Yeah, remember he fought Rocky Martinez.
Man, you talking about Mikey Garcia leftover? That's what I'm saying. He fought fighters that been knocked out before. He fought Mikey Garcia leftovers.
He made Walters quit. And who at the time was undefeated.
Who was inactive, coming off a draw.
He was still an undefeated champion.
Coming off a draw.
And Rigondeaux necessarily throw it out there.
Come on now, you ain't gonna do that.
What I'm saying, okay. So what do you think is? And then he like, to me, I thought he took Gary Russell to school.
Well, he got dropped in that fight, and it was a split decision.
I don't believe
win that fight. He won
it wasn't counted as a drop. So it's not on his record. It's not on his record.
Yeah, but he still got dropped. I mean, obviously we could see that he got dropped in that fight. But regardless of any of that,
did Zab Judah drop Mayweather?
In my opinion, yeah.
Yeah,
but to Floyd Mayweather credit, Zab did step like when he pivoted. Floyd got tripped by his foot. He did land a punch, but he tripped by his foot. So the referee did look at their feet.
But I'm saying it doesn't go in his record.
Yeah, that's the point. But my point is this, right? Terrence Crawford fought a gold medalist. I'm not even talking about Gamboa. I'm talking about Flex Diaz. We saw what he did to Flex Diaz. He played with him. He toyed with him. He knocked him out. We saw Lomachenko go against a gold medalist himself last fight. The guy was ranked number 5 in the division, Luke Campbell. And what happened in that fight? Lomachenko struggled badly. I mean, Lomachenko stated it was his toughest fight. You don't got to go based on what I'm seeing. Let's go based on what Lomachenko is saying. He's saying that was his toughest fight to date, even though that should be the Salido fight. But he claims it's the Luke Campbell fight. So we got one fighter dominating a gold medalist. We got another fighter struggling against another gold medalist, right? Now, let's talk about Terrence Crawford when he moved up in weight and fought Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn just beat Manny Pacquiao.
Jeff Horn.
Did he beat Manny Pacquiao? No, right? I don't think he beat Manny Pacquiao, but it was a close fight. He was giving Manny Pacquiao the work in the inside.
Jeff Horn might not even be a top 15 welterweight.
He was a champion. He beat Manny Pacquiao. And look, I don't think he beat Manny Pacquiao. I had Manny Pacquiao winning that fight, but he did perform well. He made it a dirty fight. Manny was not comfortable in the inside. He was not anticipating what's going on. What Terrence Crawford do to Jeff Horn? He annihilated him. I mean, he destroyed him. What happened when Lomachenko moved up in weight and fought a real champion? He got dropped his first fight moving up. So what I'm saying,
he stopped him though.
He stopped him, but he struggled in the process. My point is, Terrence Crawford is more dominant, not just more dominant, but more dominant over the years. He proved himself over the years more than Lomachenko have. Also, he already accomplished something that Lomachenko is trying to accomplish today. Also, he's not turning down smoke. Terrence Crawford is free smoke. It's smoke season.
Who has he fought at welterweight?
Terrence Crawford, well, he's calling out Errol Spence. He's calling out all these guys. It's not his fault that these guys ain't willing to step in the ring with him. I'm not particularly talking about Errol Spence. I believe Errol Spence will fight him, but I'm talking about the Danny Garcias, the Keith Thurmans. But my point is, we know for a fact that Lomachenko duck fights. And Lomachenko turned down a fight with Pacquiao. He officially came out on an interview stating he turned down a Manny Pacquiao fight. So he ducked the Pacquiao fight when Manny Pacquiao was willing to go down to his weight, right? He ducked the Salido rematch. So you a guy that just lost. You a guy that want to be as great as a Manny Pacquiao, but you can't even beat a grandpa version of a Manny Pacquiao. So my point is, Terrence Crawford ain't ducking Manny Pacquiao. Terrence Crawford told Lomachenko when he was fighting at 140, when Lomachenko just moved up to the 135-pound division, Terrence Crawford told him, if y'all think Lomachenko is the pound-for-pound number 1, we could link up at 137. That's only 5 pounds south of 132 where he fought in the amateurs. Most of his amateur career. So he's a big fella. He's not a small guy. He's not a fighter. I mean, he's not a fighter that goes on a scale and fight night, he weighed the same as he did on the scale. Nah, he gains 10 pounds. So if he could have fought Terrence Crawford at 137, that's only 2 pounds south 135. That's only 5 pounds away from where he fought in the amateurs at most of his career. But his team and Terrence Crawford, and Lomachenko said absolutely not to that smoke. They didn't want that fight. So give Terrence the credit he deserved, which is, I mean, you know, he this guy that no one wants smoke with. He's this guy that stayed dominant. Do you know any fighter that Terrence gave Terrence Crawford a hard time, that Terrence didn't end up knocking out or destroying most of the fight?
In the ring?
Absolutely no one.
No, he's done a pretty good job. I think his competition at welterweight has hurt him because it's not anybody.
Yeah, that's why he need to sign with PBC and leave Bob Arum. But to say to that, my top 5, man, is a tough one because Terrence Crawford number 1. As long as Terrence Crawford number 1, I'm all goody with anybody list. But number 2, I had Lomachenko, but after the Luke Campbell fight, I believe he has to go down to number 3. He got to do some more work. I might even put Canelo. I think Canelo will probably be a better position for number 2 than Lomachenko. Wow. The only problem with Canelo is that he had a close fight with Trout. He lost to Lara, in my opinion. He had a close fight with Golovkin, even though he won the second fight, in my opinion, and was a first draw, in my opinion. Chavez, he fought him at a catchweight. You know, so I'm kind of iffy with Canelo, but at least he proved himself more than Lomachenko have over the years. I don't got no problem with Lomachenko being number 2 or Canelo, but I believe Errol Spence Oh, matter of fact, I put Manny Pacquiao number 2. Cancel all that. Because Manny Pacquiao just beat Keith Thurman.
Who's
Man,
Keith Thurman?
Listen, Manny Pacquiao with his resume and the fact that he beat Keith Thurman.
It's not a lifetime award.
What's that?
Like the pound for pound list. It's about who is the best.
The best
fighter.
now. That's what I'm
best
saying.
Now.
That's what
so
I'm
you
saying.
got Pacquiao.
Manny
Okay,
has
all
the
right. So
resume to support
you
it.
got Crawford 1, Manny
Manny
Pacquiao 2.
NO-Machenko number 3, number 4 Canelo, and number 5 Errol Spence.
Okay.
That's my top 5. Hey Manny, you my guy, but man, you need to fight Errol Spence. But next topic.
This will probably have to.
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
got you.
wrap it this.
I got you. We about to end it up. It's gonna be quick. Gary Russell pulling up on Leo Santa Cruz. Oh, before we get to that, I gotta get your opinion real quick. Mayweather was a no-show for the exhibition match that he announced against Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, Manny stated he wants a real fight. What's your thoughts on that? Why was Mayweather a no-show?
I mean, I know nothing about it. I'm not really interested in it. I'm not too interested in anything Mayweather does right now, to be honest.
Mayweather gets no love.
Well, no, he is. I think he's the best fighter of his generation and stuff. Right. But he's not a fighter right now. He's not a fighter and stuff like that.
So Floyd Mayweather, if you want to get covered over here in split decision, either you show up and pull up on us, or you fight a real fight. That's what
or not.
Professor Nim
stated. Yeah, you made a lot of money and stuff like that. So I'd rather give attention to people who are trying to establish and solidify their legacy.
I got you. That makes sense. So let's get straight to it. Gary Russell pulls up on Leo Santa Cruz dad. He told him that's nice jewelry, and he told him right in front of his face on the phone. He was telling Leo Santa Cruz, "Quit ducking me." He feels that he don't understand the fact he actually pulled up. I mean, he saw his dad, but he couldn't catch the fighter. So what's your opinion on the whole situation? Is Leo Santa Cruz going to be pressured now to fight Gary Russell? Will he fight him? Why he's not fighting him? Why is Leo ducking all the smoke? Does he have cojones? Your answer.
Well, I don't. I think most fighters are not scared to fight anybody. It just becomes at a certain level in your career when you achieve a certain amount of status, it becomes a business decision. And unfortunately, Leo Santa Cruz business is a lot more booming right now than Gary Russell. Part of that is Gary needs to fight more than one time a year.
Who Cruz ain't booming. Let's be honest. Who is? I haven't heard of anything about Eric Cruz really, other than him calling out Tank Davis. But to be fair, I think fear plays into some fighters. Let me explain. You boxed before. You obviously will fight anybody. But my point is this: there's a lot of reputation at hand. There's a lot of people, family tuning in. You're not afraid of getting hit, but you're afraid of losing and losing money because that's how you feed your family. When you lose, we all know in the sport of boxing, your reputation takes a big hit. Mikey Garcia was a fight ago on the top 5 pound for pound on almost every list. One fight later, he got pushed down almost out of the pound for pound list. Why? Because he got the biggest ass whooping of the year. So fighters are afraid to lose.
I think that's our problem. They shouldn't we put too much. So to me, I didn't knock down Mikey all of that. It was just like he took a calculated risk, a fight that nobody picked him to win.
And that was
calculated. I think that people should not put so much into one loss. We need to get out of this Floyd Mayweather kind of mindset. No. That's why we boxing fans. Our product at this time is it pales a little bit in comparison to mixed martial arts because you could lose fights, you can lose a couple of fights, but it's really about the way that you fight, the way that you comport yourself when you're in the ring, and it's about taking on those bigger challenges. And don't be so afraid.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Canelo Alvarez took a calculated risk to fight Floyd Mayweather when he was probably too young, stuff to do it. I don't think he's paying for that. He made a lot of money, and he's still in everybody's. He's on some people's list as a top pound for pound, and could honestly be said is the biggest star in boxing right now. So take chances. Let's just. I think part of that is us putting too much into somebody losing a match.
Now, as far as Canelo, as far as his loss with Floyd, I mean, he fought Floyd when Floyd was 37. So he had the upper hand because he was the younger fighter, the fresher fighter. He was not too fresh. He was 23 years old or 22. At the same time, he had every advantage, on his side. Floyd was old, but it was a good experience fighting Floyd and seeing how he operates and how he moves in the ring. But that being said, you do agree with me that fighters are afraid to lose. I'm not saying, you're not afraid of another man, but sometimes if you find a Deontay Wilder, you will be afraid of him because even that dude, he will put your lights out. He gonna turn you to a meme. You afraid of the backlash. You afraid of your family getting some hot dog and you out here already got knocked out. So that's the fear factor that Leo Santa Cruz has. So I'm not saying.
Leo, I'm not saying that. I would. That is that is not Professor Dales. I'm not saying that at all. I don't agree with that.
You saying Leo Santa Cruz is not ducking no action?
No,
he haven't. Well, how not?
No, I think. Listen, Gary Russell likes to talk, man. Gary Russell talks a lot of. Man. He talked about Tank. He's doing this. Gary Russell has to talk because he doesn't fight enough to get. A lot of people don't even know. If we go up to him right now and be like, "Do you know who Gary Russell is?" They don't know who he is.
I bet you they won't know Santa Cruz either. But my point is,
I disagree with that.
Hold on. My point is this. Look, Gary Russell is a fact. He been calling out Leo Santa Cruz for the past 3 years.
He been calling out Tank too.
He been calling out Tank.
Is Tank ducking him?
Tank said no to the fight. So is that ducking him? Absolutely. Did he say yes to the fight? Absolutely not. So my question is this. Look, why does Gary Russell got to prove himself, got to win a title at 130 for Tank to fight him, but Tank could fight somebody from 126 that nobody knows? He could have a replacement opponent and fight a bantamweight. He could fight unknown fighters at 130, but when it's a Gary Russell, the best 126 pound, now, Gary Russell got to do this. Gary Russell got to do that. Just with the Golovkin situation. When Golovkin everybody was claiming he was the most duck fighter in the world. When Larry was calling him out.
That is not Gary Russell.
But I'm saying he
that
is, though.
That is not Gary Russell.
Hold on. Gennady Golovkin had Andre Ward calling him out. He had Lara wanting to fight him. He chose not to fight those guys. He cherry-picked. But on the other hand, Gary Russell, he's calling out, what's his name? Tank Davis. He's calling out Leo Santa Cruz. 3 years ago, he went on national television, or 2 years ago, and he stated on PBC, Leo Santa Cruz, Morris, quit ducking me. I want that fight next. What more can you do? He pulled up on his dad.
Just fight. Just fight, man. You fight once a year. Your business doesn't seem right well.
This is called a strap. If I take this and I put this on Leo Santa Cruz's head and I tell him to sign the contract and fight Gary Russell, he won't do so. That's what I mean. You can't force someone to You can't force someone to fight somebody. They gotta sign the contract. Al Heyman can't force Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz's son, his name is Al Heyman. He named his son Al Heyman. So obviously Al Heyman ain't finna pressure Leo Santa Cruz or tell him, hey, look, you got to fight this fight. That's the only fight I'm going to offer you. You know what he tells him? He tells him, look, if you fight Gary Russell, I'm going to give you opportunities. He still didn't want no smoke with him. Don't you agree that Leo Santa Cruz moved up a division to avoid Guillermo Rigondeaux?
I don't know. I think a lot of people avoided him. He just had a particularly a few years ago. Now I think they're going to be more apt to fight him.
Well, he's still fighting.
He just had a style that was was hard to kind of find a key to unlocking that style. He had one of those fights where you weren't going to look good in the fight. And then a lot of times, because they were playing mental chess at a high level, there wasn't going to be a lot of punches thrown to it. So sometimes your own the perception of yourself might go down because of fighting. So there was just a lot of reasons why people did avoid
let's be
him.
honest. Guillermo Rigondeaux was pound for pound number 3 for a reason.
Yeah,
he was literally unbeatable at the time at 122 because of his defense, his power punching, countering. I mean, Rigondeaux, if you throw punches at him, he will throw back. Santa Cruz throws 100 punches around, so he will throw punches against Rigondeaux. He just didn't want to get knocked out in the process. That's why he moved up a division to avoid a Rigondeaux. That's just basically it. That's the hard truth. Morris did the same thing. Quick, Frampton did the same thing. Donaire claimed he don't want to rematch Rigondeaux because he can no longer make the weight. Guess who's fighting Enio next?
Well, he's in the tournament.
Donaire is fighting him at 118. But he claimed a couple years ago he can no longer make 122. So my point is...
which I think is a lot more dangerous fight than Rigondeaux, in my opinion.
What?
Against
Inouye? But that's because he's just too washed at this point of his career. I believe the old Donaire...
Inouye is a monster. If y'all have not seen him fight.
I believe the old Donaire, if he's still the former himself, I believe he possibly would beat... Inouye. He could because of that, because of his size and advantage. We'll see, but my point is this: they ducking Gary Russell the same way at 126. Frampton, Oscar, Leo Santa Cruz, and they moving up in the division. Leo Santa Cruz wants to move up in the division to avoid and use Tank name to avoid him. Do you know
what's Gary's biggest win? I mean, you seem to be really impressed with Gary Russell.
I'm just saying, the guy wants all the smoke. We want to see the best versus the best. Ain't Leo Santa Cruz a champion?
At
126?
126.
I hope so.
He beat Abner. I mean, sometimes fights just can be made just for it, but I'm not.
But I'm saying he is a champion.
Yeah.
And Gary Russell is a champion, the WBC champion, the longest reigning champion, him and Deontay Wilder since 2014. Mm-hmm. So nobody's able to dethrone him, and he wants these fights, and these guys ain't willing to fight him. So I'm saying he wants the smoke. We want to see one name, one face in every division, just like the old school. Instead of 4 belts, 1 belt. So in order for that to happen, these champions got to fight each other. Mm-hmm. Leo Santa Cruz just want to hold the title. He don't want to fight the other champions. He want to fight Frampton, a guy who he got a chance against, but he don't want to fight the Gary Russell. Why? Because he don't want to get destroyed. Obviously, if he ducked a Rigondeaux, why would he fight a Gary Russell now, who's kind of has the same similar style, fast, has a nice IQ, all that. But my point is, Gary Russell got upset at Tank Davis for trying to steal the Cruz fight from him because he was trying to make that fight happen. But Cruz used Tank Davis' name, claiming I'm gonna move up and wait and fight him, and avoid both fights because he didn't want to fight Tank Davis either. Then Tank Davis moved up to the 135-pound division because the Cruz fight didn't come to fruition. And now Leo Santa Cruz is stuck with fighting Gary Russell because Gary Russell pulled up on his dad. He wants all the smoke. And Gary Russell also called out Tank Davis and all the big names. Literally, he just wants to fight. He stated the reason why he's inactive is because nobody's willing to fight. Who are you going to fight if nobody's willing to fight?
That's not what he stated, actually. He stated that he had to kind of take care of business, and it was all these. He had a lot of excuses for why he was inactive.
Well, that's what he stated last night on Barbershop Conversation. On the interview, he stated that the reason he's fighting one time a year because it's not nobody really want to fight him from the top competition. So all he does is stay busy as much as he can and take care of business till the big fights come along. The Mexican fighter he fought, what's his name? I forgot his name, man. It was a really good fighter, a really good prospect.
His last fight?
Yeah, it might not be his last fight.
Wasn't it Jojo Diaz?
Jojo Diaz, yeah. I think it might be Jojo Diaz. Yeah, but Jojo Diaz is a good fighter. I believe he's better than Cruz. Cruz, in my opinion, get hit too much. He's a good fighter, but he's so basic. Like, man, Cruz, he will get smoked by
Cruz has a style that deals with that is dependent on attrition, and he won't last long at the top level.
So do you agree he's ducking?
I think that he's making a business decision right now.
What kind of business decision?
Gary Russell just doesn't do good business.
The biggest fight for Leo Santa Cruz at this point, since the Tank Davis is out of the picture, is a Gary Russell fight. So what is a good business decision? He's not making a good business decision.
I'll see.
He making a good duck position.
Well, his guy is Al Heyman, and that guy knows what he's doing.
Al Heyman cannot force you to go in the ring.
I would trust Al Heyman with my boxing career.
I mean, I would trust him too, but like I stated, Al Heyman can't force him to take on a fight. He can't be like, oh, sign this contract. Like, he has to be willing. Like, he can't put a gun in his head, oh, fight Gary Russell next. He cannot force him. He has to be willing to.
I'm not sure the kid. Like I said, I'm just getting privy to this news. But what I'm saying is that I think they're going to make a good business decision. I'm not even like Leo Santa Cruz hasn't come out with a statement there, but I think Gary needs to all the news that Gary makes is through interviews and through confronting people. It's not in the ring. Which I mean there can be a case to be said. These guys are not fighting him and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not fighting in the ring.
I haven't known that to be the case, but what I'm saying is like I'm more interested in him stop trying to troll on social media and like I want to see some jaw dropping performances in the ring that will have people be like, oh, this is the guy. We need to see him fight. I want to see him fight more.
The more impressive he looks, the more he will get ducked. That's what I'm saying. You want to see that, but in order for us to see that,
you got to fight more than one time a year. I don't fight some make some people come. Like you can fight anybody in the top 10, anybody in the top 5 or whatnot.
My point, Leo Santa Cruz.
That's one fighter. There's one fighter.
He called out more than one fighter. Leo Santa Cruz, Abner Mares. He said all these fighters are men with high heels and skirts. My point is, Leo Santa Cruz has to grow some cojones in order for us to see this jaw-dropping performance by Gary Russell.
I haven't seen. He's had fights. He fought.
My point is,
this year.
Look, we got phones nowadays. Interviews, you could contact anybody, contact any expert, any boxing writer, and tell them, oh, I'm willing to fight Gary Russell. I don't know what he's talking about. He pulling up on my dad, disrespecting my dad. I'm going to see you next. I got cojones. I'm going to fight you.
Or you don't. Or you can talk to Al Heyman and you can go about business. What I'm saying is like he is a business entity and he's just not. I don't think he's gonna jump at a fight just because somebody got on social media and was trolling.
This fight supposed to happen 3 years ago. Do you understand what I'm saying?
What I'm saying. Listen, Gary Russell has fought 2 times in the last 3 years. Listen, if he was super active and knocking all these people out, I could understand that. This guy does not fight enough.
Who have Cruz fought?
Cruz fought Frampton. He's fought Abner Mares. He's fought them a couple of times. He has a following. He headlines shows. Gary Russell hardly headlines any kind of show that I can remember that has been any kind of point. What I'm saying is just like I think he needs to do more for his case. He's a good fighter at this time, and I think Cruz will fight him at some point.
When he die? When he 50 years old?
Really? You talk about 20-year-olds. Come on.
Man, who's 20-year-old? They about to be 29 or something.
Leo Santa Cruz?
Man, that dude look like he 40. Let me tell you something. The problem that I'm having with Leo Santa Cruz is that he ducks all the best competition. He will go down in history as pound for pound #1 best ducker in history because he avoids all the risky fights. Yeah, he will fight Frampton. Yeah, he will fight Quigg. Yeah, he will fight what's his name? Mares, but that's because they winnable fight. If a fight is not winnable, it's automatically canceled. Like, he would not take the fight. Like I said, Gary Russell been pressing this issue for the past 3 years. He called out Cruz on TV, on interviews, on like what more can the man do to get the fight? He just want the smoke. You talking about, oh, well, he not doing this, he not selling tickets, he's not that, he's not being active. As far as being active, that's one thing, but when fighters ain't willing to fight you is another. On top of all that, it's about the best beating the best. The best getting in there with the best in the sport of boxing. So at the end of the day, we're not watching the sport to see who has more fans. We're watching the sport to see who's the best. So,
yeah, but listen, we're not fighters. We don't put our bodies at the line every time we step into there. They have to make a sound business decision. When Floyd did it, we said that he was genius. He was all of this.
Don't not compare Leo Santa Cruz to Floyd, man.
Floyd didn't make business decisions when he fought.
he always fought the best
That's
as
not
far
true.
as
not true.
fighters coming off their biggest win. Who did Floyd Mayweather have like Gary Russell calling him out like that? Name me a fighter.
He fought Zab Judah after a loss.
Zab Judah.
When he went up to 140, the unequivocal best at that time was Costa Tzu. He fought Gotti because Gotti had the pay-per-view numbers, and it was a strategic decision.
And what happened to Zab Tzu? What happened to him?
He lost to Ricky Hatton.
And what happened to Ricky Hatton?
Well, it don't matter. Like,
He beat
Floyd should have beat Tszyu.
No, but
right?
he was on a fast track to get to Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like
he
made a business decision. It wasn't just like I want the very best in this division. I want to fight them. He did not do that at 140.
No.
He made a business decision.
No. Hold on. As far as you gotta understand, if I make a business decision that will weight more in my legacy, then I would do that.
For real? So Gotti?
Hold on. Not like Gotti. Forget Gotti. I'm talking about after he fought Gotti, the reason he didn't stay at the 140 because he was heading for the big monsters like Oscar, like what's his name, the Baldemir, the guy who beat Zab Judah, the guy who they claim
that was not
he
a
was
big
the,
fish.
He knocked out. Well, he beat Zab Judah when Zab Judah was the undisputed welterweight champion.
You saw that fight, right?
Yeah, but listen, you got to keep in mind. Hold on.
It was Zab fought Baltimore.
Hold on.
Zab embarrassed himself in front of his Brooklyn people.
I got a question for you. So Terrence Crawford, right?
Yeah.
He beat a Gamboa.
Yeah.
Right? Hold on. Gamboa.
Yeah, he beat Gamboa.
He beat Gamboa, and Gamboa is still Gamboa a little bit, right? Now look at Gamboa today. Let's say Tank Davis fight him and beats Gamboa. Would you give Tank Davis the same credit you gave Terrence Crawford for beating Gamboa? No?
I don't know. I mean, like Terrence Crawford is a naturally bigger fighter. He had all of the physical advantages.
Forget all that. I'm saying, would you give him more credit for beating Gamboa? Because Gamboa beat him when Gamboa was still Gamboa. Now Gamboa lost to a guy with 4 losses. With 4 knockouts in his previous fight or the fight before that. So my point is, if Tank Davis beat him now, would you give Tank Davis the same credit you gave Terrence Crawford? It matters when you fight your opponent. Floyd Mayweather fought Baldomir when they were claiming Floyd was ducking Baldomir. So Floyd had to fight Baldomir. If Floyd fought somebody else, then somebody will say, oh, he ducked Baldomir. Just like when he avoided certain fights to fight bigger fights, it's not called avoiding. He fought a bigger fight that means more for his legacy, like an Oscar De La Hoya fight that made him a fighter that will go down in history as one of the biggest pay-per-view stars in the sport of boxing. Let's not forget, Pretty Boy Floyd called out everybody. And Floyd never had anybody disrespect him and to his face, disrespect his dad or whatever, and Floyd didn't fight him. Because remember when Sugar Shane Mosley hopped in the ring, and Sugar Shane Mosley was ducking Floyd Mayweather when Floyd was Pretty Boy. Sugar Shane claimed, oh, my teeth hurt, I got to go get a surgery when Larry asked him, right? But after Floyd Mayweather became Money May and fought Marquez and came out of retirement, Mosley was quick to hop in the ring and was like, yo, Floyd, when we going to make this fight, stop ducking me, whatever. Floyd got offended. What Floyd do?
He fought him.
After Mosley coming off what? A Margarito knockout. He fought him. Floyd fought Ortiz after Ortiz knocked out Berto. Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo after Canelo knocked out Trout. Floyd Mayweather fought Pacquiao after Pacquiao beat Algieri.
He didn't knock out Trout.
Beat Trout, my bad. But my point is, become the unified champion, the unified champion at 154. So I'm saying is Leo Santa Cruz, who is talking about him as a pound-for-pound fighter, even though he moved up 3 weight divisions and got 3 belts in 3 different weight divisions. We're not talking about Leo Santa Cruz like we talk about Mikey Garcia, like we talk about what's his name? Like we talk about Terrence Crawford, like we talk about NO-Machenko, even though they fought in 3 divisions also. But that's that's because he ducks the best.
Well, he's not as dynamic as those.
And he ducks the best. He's not fighting the best. When you have a fighter that in your same division, this fighter's calling you out and asking for all the smoke, and you're avoiding the fights as much as possible, people ain't gonna have respect for that. Even your people. I never heard nobody claim Leo Santa Cruz as a pound-for-pound fighter. But like I said, if you look at it like Floyd, everybody was ducking him in his pretty boy stage. They only wanted to fight him when he became Money May. And he was still fighting the best available opponent that's coming off a big victory. Unlike Manny Pacquiao, for example.
Except for Zab Judah.
Well, that's when he was still pretty boy Floyd. But the reason the Zab Judah fight got made is because they was building that fight before Zab Judah lost to Baldomir. He just blew that shit up. And instead of getting paid $12 million for that fight, he ended up getting paid $3 million, I believe. But my point is,
Zab lost a lot of money.
Yeah, Zab lost a lot of money. He could, if he stayed focused, he could have been somewhere else. But my point is, Manny Pacquiao fought fighters coming off losses like Margarito getting knocked out by Mosley. Not fighting Mosley when Mosley knocked out Margarito, but he fought Mosley after Mosley lost to Floyd. So my point is, you can't compare Floyd to Leo. That's like almost a no-no. Like, because Leo is literally avoiding every big fight. You know, and it's not Gary Russell's fault, because Gary Russell won all these big fights. So he cannot force these guys to get in the ring with him. If they don't have no cojones, if you was not born with cojones, you know, Gary Russell cannot donate cojones to him. He couldn't donate money, but he can't donate cojones.
Well, on this, we are definitely going to have a split decision, because, but that's what it's all about and everything. Yeah. So we are coming to the end of our first episode. I want to give a shout out to the host, Aki
all day, at Professor Nim. It's a real-time professor, a real-life professor, and a professor when it comes to the sport of boxing. So like I stated, if you want to get educated to the sport of boxing, and you know you want to tune in, always tune in to Split Decision. Subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute. If you're trying to get dumb about a second, don't, and listen to these casual fans. Click on the notification bell to get notified every time we go live, and to be continued on the next episode of Split Decision. Thanks for being here, Professor Nim, and we see y'all next time.
We out.
We out. See y'all.